Hello, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew this beautiful top on your screen. In the first tutorial, I shared the pattern drafting of this tutorial, and if you've not seen the first part of this tutorial, I've linked it to the description of this video. You want to go ahead and check it out. Also, I want to implore you to watch this video till the end because towards the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing you tips that I wish I did better. Can you see how the inside is looking very neat? Yeah. Well, there are some tips that I think I would have done better that would have given me a more final look. With that being said, let's get started. Now you want to transfer the pattern to the fabric. Simply place your pattern on the fabric, folding the right side facing each other. Then make sure you pin your fabric to the pattern and then you leave half inch. For the back pattern, I noticed that we forgot to give it the alternate effect. We forgot to make the shoulder look smaller. So what I'm doing is I measured the front pattern and then we used 2 inches for the width of the shoulder for the front. So I'm just carving it out like so. So go ahead to do the same thing. Measure your front and use it to cut out your back before you transfer it to your fabric. So after taking the measurements, now you want to transfer to your fabric. The same thing, make sure you leave at least half inches all the way around so you'll be able to stitch it. That half inch is the stitching allowance. Don't forget to add the stitching allowance. So by the time you are done cutting, you will have enough allowance to stitch. Can you see what I'm doing? Do the exact thing. Pin the pattern to the fabric and then you are going to cut it out. I cut out two for the front, then two for the middle of the front, two for the side, and then I've gone ahead to also cut up my lining. For the back, I used the normal ABBA lining for the back. Then for the sides, I also used the normal lining. You can see the black lining for the sides. But for the middle, because we are having a lapel and collar, for the middle and the collar, you are going to use the fabric. Whatever fabric you are using, if you're working with an Ankara fabric, this is a tweed fabric. You'll be using the fabric. Can you see this is the collar? Just place it. You're cutting the collar on a fold. Place the collar on your fabric, then cut it on a fold. Can you see this? This is the only one I cut into two. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue my este interface. I will glue my este interface to the middle of the fabric and the middle of the lining. I did not glue to the side of the main fabric, the actual fabric. But I later went ahead to glue to the actual fabric because I did not like how soft. I wanted it to be the front middle to be thicker because there will be buttons there. But later on, I wanted the whole front to feel thick, so I had needed to add extra estate to the middle. So if you are using this fabric, I will implore you to add estate to all the middle pieces. Do you understand? Just add estate to all the middle pieces. Then you go ahead to pin it just like the way I am pinning it. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to stitch it with the half-inch seam allowance we added. Can you see? Pin it, pin both sides, and then stitch with the half-inch seam allowance. This is the lining pieces. Remember, I said that the middle, I use the actual fabric for the lining. It's just the side and the back that I used normal lining. So what I'm doing now is that you pin just like you did it to the actual fabric, right side facing the right side. You are going to pin it like so, and then you are going to stitch half of an inch all the way to the down parts. You take it to the machine and you are going to stitch and press it open. So I've gone ahead to stitch both the lining piece. Can you see? I've gone ahead to stitch the lining piece. I've also gone ahead to stitch the outer fabric. The next thing I want to do now is to notch. After stitching, you want to notch the fabric, the curvy part, you are going to notch it. And then after your notches, after creating notches, when I say notch, I mean you're just going to cut through the just like what I'm doing, just cut through to the fabric. Don't cut to the line where you stitch, but you're just going to make a small, small cut all the way around. So by the time you are done pressing it, it is going to relax. The next thing you want to do is to open it up. You're going to open it up and press it. You are going to do the same thing for both the actual fabric and the lining piece. So I've gone ahead to press it flat. Can you see the difference? So you definitely need to press it flat. Gone ahead to press it flat. And usually I will do this for my princess that's whatever princess that I'm making. I always do this. I'll just cut like 1 inch of stay and glue it to the middle after pressing it flat. This will enable it not to close again. But like I stated earlier, when I was done, I did not really like how the side felt softer and the middle was a bit thicker. So I instead of cutting just 1 inch to glue to the middle, what I did was to trace out the shape of the side. So that's why I said just go ahead to cut out stay and just glue the interface to all the front pieces. Then for the lining piece, you are just going to glue to the middle piece. So what I'm going to do now, instead of gluing just that 1 inch, just pressing the 1 inch, I'm going to press this one now to my main fabric. I'll be pressing it to the back of my main fabric. Can you see? So I really liked how this felt like. I really like how it was stable. Can you see how it's looking? The difference is clear. So that's what I went ahead to do. But if you had gone ahead to like iron press the estate to it initially, you won't have to go through this process that I did. Now the darts, it's time to stitch the darts. Just pay attention to what I'll be doing. Take the middle of your back piece. This is the back, mind you. Then you are going to chalk it. Just going to make a mark in the middle. Then you are going to open to the front. Then look at what you would do. The allowance I added was 1.5 inch. I'm just marking the 1.5 inch on both sides. The allowance you added earlier. Then you are going to just put the allowance and the midpoint together. And now you are going to take your measurements. I will be taking from my shoulder to the under bust. My under bust is 12.5, so I'm just going to mark 12.5. And I'm going to stitch from that point downwards. I'm just going to take the measurement. I have about 5 inches. So I'm going to stitch half inch from that point downwards. And I'll stitch half inch on the other side too. Just do the same thing for both sides. So I'm going ahead to stitch. And then you do the same process for the lining piece. Just go ahead to do the same process for the lining piece. And when you are done, make sure you press it flat. So now let's work on the front piece. This is the front piece. You are going to face the right side on each other. The right side of the back and the right side of the front, and you are going to pin the shoulders together. Now we want to stitch half inch. We are going to join this front and the back with the shoulder. Half inches. I'm just going to measure half inch on both shoulder, and then I'll take it to the sewing machine to stitch. So you're just going to stitch. Make sure the neckline they are aligning. Make sure the neckline is aligning. Once if any excess wants to occur, it should be at the side, like the end of the shoulder, not in the neckline. I hope you understand. So now I'm just going to mark the 1.5 inch, the 1.5 inch seam allowance we added. I'm going to mark it out on both sides. I'm going to mark it out on both sides, facing the right side with each other. So I'm just going to mark the 1.5 inch seam allowance we've added. Then I'll take this to the sewing machine to stitch. This is the lining piece. I'm just doing the same thing on the lining piece. As you can see, I have stitched both shoulder of the lining piece. So I'll do the same thing for both the main fabric and the lining piece. I've gone ahead to stitch the 1.5 inch seam allowance we've added. And as you can see, the fronts and the sides, they are no longer aligning because we've stitched 1.5 inch. So you don't have any cause for alarm. Just spread it out this way. Use your ruler to create a slanted line to the sharp edge in the front, just like so. and then you are going to trim it off. Place your ruler like so, create a line, a slanted line, and then you trim off the excesses. You are going to do the same thing for the lining pieces too. This is the lining pieces. Create the slanted line and trim it off. So now for the allowance, you are going to trim off the allowance a bit. But before trimming this allowance, this is the point where you are going to wear this jacket on your body to see how it is fitting. Try to act like you are buttoning it and see how it's fitting. So I've fitted mine and it looks good. So that's why I trimmed off allowance. So what I'm doing now, I just marked the midpoint of my neck. Join both shoulders together and mark the midpoint of your neck. This is the collar. Can you see the way the collar is curving? That part that is curving upwards, that is the down of the collar. Now, you are going to place it together like so. Mark the middle after placing it together, just like what I'm doing. Then you are going to mark the middle of your neckline and then put them together, just like what you are saying. After putting them together, you are going to open it up and then you are going to pin it together. You pin it all the way from the right to the end, just like what I'm doing. You keep pinning it together like so. Don't stretch the collar, don't stretch the neckline, just keep pinning it like so. And when you get to the curviest part of the collar, that part that is facing upward, that round part of the collar, when you get to that point whereby you cannot pin again, can you see? I'm still going to pin it one more time because I can still pin. But when I get to this point where I can no longer pin, that is when and I'm now going to take the measurements I have. After this last pin now, I'm going to take the measurements I have. I have about 3.5 inch there. So now I'm going to measure the 3.5 inch, take note of it. Then I will go to the other side and pin again from the middle to the end of the collar. Then I'm going to measure the 3.5 inch that I had in the other side because it has to be equal. Just keep pinning it like so. Then when I get to the curviest part of the collar, I'm going to measure again what I have. If I have 3.5 inch, I'm going to stop pinning it. Can you see? I will still pin one more time. I'm just going to mark that point and then I will keep pinning. But make sure that wherever you choose to stop has to be the curviest part of the collar. You when you get to that part, you will know that you cannot even pin again. Can you see? So you will do this same process. This process we just did for the actual fabric. You are going to make sure that the two sides are equal, just like how I'm making sure. And then you will do this same process for the lining piece. You do the same process for the lining piece before taking it to the sewing machine to stitch. So I've gone ahead to stitch on my sewing machine. And what I am doing now is that I figured out after this process, I tried the jacket, the top. I did not really like how the curvy part of the shoulder is given. So I had to come in again by 1 inch. If you watch the pattern drafting tutorial, you will notice that I told you to come out by 1 inch from the neckline instead of 2 inch. So I've gone ahead to stitch the collar of the lining piece and the collar of the actual fabric. Now we want to join them together. We want to join them together and actually close this top. We are getting to the end of this tutorial. Can you see what I'm doing? Just pin it like you see if you stitched with the same allowance, because the lining piece and the actual fabric, they are the same length, they are the same. You are going to use the actual fabric to cut out your lining piece, so obviously they are the same height, the same length, the color, everything is the same. So, and if you stitched with the half inch, you stitch the front with the half inch and lining with the half inch, you will not have any problem joining them together. Can you see I've joined them together? I'm just trimming off the excess allowance. First of all, you pin it out. Secondly, you stitch it on your sewing machine. Then lastly, make sure that you trim off the excesses because that is the only way it is going to relax when you flip it to the right side. Remember, you are placing the right side facing the right side. right side of the actual fabric, the right side of the lining, and you will stitch all the way around. And you are stitching off the half inch. The only part you are not stitching is the armhole. And that is where we are going to flip the wrong fabric. We're going to flip to the right fabric. Can you see? So now we have flipped it to the right side. We are now going to stitch the armhole to close. I've gone ahead to stitch the armhole close, and this is what we have. Now we are going to use our bias tape to make it, to finish up with the armhole. So look at what I'm doing. You leave half inch from the middle of the armhole, then you are going to pin all the way from that midpoint we just, that half inch we left now. You're going to pin all the way round the armhole up to the shoulder, then to the other side, just like what I'm doing now. You go ahead to do the exact thing for both armhole. Just take your time and pin it all the way around. Then when you get to the end, when you get to the first half inch you left, you are going to also leave. Can you see what I'm doing? When you get to the end of the armhole, just like so, you will leave another half inch. You will leave another half inch. Can you see? I'm going to trim it off, but this time again, I'm still going to leave another half inch. That is the half inch we are going to join together to finish the armhole. So when we stitch from this side to the other side, then we will get back to, I'm going to bring it back to the sewing table to show you. So look at it. I've gone ahead to stitch. Now I'm going to stitch this half inch together. I'm going to stitch it together with a straight line. Then I will trim off the excesses before sewing it round again. So now I'm going to stitch a straight line. I'm just going to sew it round again. Can you see? So now what we want to do is to trim off the excesses. This is the right side of the armhole. We are working on the right side of the armhole. So now we are going to trim off the excess, and we are going to flip the bias tape to the wrong side. So we are stitching from the right side of the armhole. That is the right side of your fabric. Can you see what I'm doing? So now we are going to flip it to the wrong side. That is the lining of this top. I've gone ahead to stitch on both armhole, and you can see how it's looking already. For me to get a final beautiful look of this top, you need to give it a very good press. I had to use a steam iron to give it this very look you can see. If you've been watching till this time, thank you so much for sticking till the end. What I said that I wish I did better is that I wish that I used a black crepe instead of that black lining I used for the lining of this top, because when I tried the back of this top, it looked very beautiful. It would have given me a two-in-one top if I had used a black crepe as opposed to the lining that I used, because having the pattern in the middle and the black fabric in the at the back and the side, it gave it a very beautiful look when I tried it on. But sadly, I used lining, so I cannot wear the back that way. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment if you watched this part. Leave the comments of what I wish that I did better. Then I will know you watched to the end of this video. My name is Blessing ABA Toma, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.